Hello everyone, I'm teacher AE86 from Fixed Team. Today I bring you Huawei Nova 6 SE, Hisilicon 820 CPU mobile phone. The fault of this phone is that it can be charged but not connected. By simple measurement, it is found that there is one pin of the USB bus DP-DN of the USB interface. Open circuit to CPU leads to disconnection. This requires reinstall the CPU to solve this fault. First, let's understand. As this phone is relatively new, there are currently no maintenance drawing and information. We can only follow our own experience to repair. Mainly through this, according to experience, we found that the normal USB bus DP-DN there will be a double inductor coil near the tape plug. It is not difficult to find here another double inductor coil leading to the tape plug. Probably the DP-DN of USB circuit. Turn our multimeter to diode gear. Their ground resistance value must be the same to be connected to PC. Check this DP-DN at this time. More than 1000 on both sides. Normally this value is around 600. Now plug out the charging port cable in and take a look. This is the row small components below the tape connector. Third and fourth from left to right. For this resistance, the resistance of this pin sometimes big, sometimes small. It is about 600 when it is connected and more than 1000 when it is disconnected. Okay, did you see it at this time? It is not hard to find that now it is back to 570. Just over 1000. Obviously, this is caused by CPU loosen. We buckle it up. Continue back to double inductor coil. The resistance of this pin shows that the CPU is connected. The resistance of this pin shows that the CPU is still not in contact. It means that the CPU is in an open circuit and virtual soldering state. Let's prepare to disassemble the CPU. Before disassembling the CPU, its actual USB bus goes through the USB port to the tape plug cable and then to the tape connector. To the fourth and fifth corner of the charging port connector from left to right. Then go to the upper left corner of the CPU. These two resistors. Repass to the CPU. It is such a way. Here we can also check this resistor. Prevent the malfunction caused by the components instead of the CPU loosen. Did you see it? If I hold the CPU and measure again, the value changes again. I want to hold a corner of the CPU inside. See if you can. Hold this corner of the CPU with your hand. Its resistance changes back. Then we press it upper again. It is a clock on it, not right. But the following resistance values sometimes abnormal. If I arch it, there are more than 1000 and the measured resistance is more than 1000. This is obviously the CPU problem. It is very likely that the temperature of the other technician was too high during removing UFS, which causes the virtual welding of the upper left corner of the CPU. Obviously, we can feel that there should be loosened from this situation of thin bolt came out. Removing the UFS leads to builder welding of the CPU. Let's demonstrate. Before disassembling the CPU, we need to cut off the shield that blocks the CPU with pliers. Try to be as regular as possible when cutting. Okay, then call this Huawei chip code HI6280. The actual name is Hisilicon 820 CPU. Let's organize it first. Then, before disassembling the CPU, we must first clean the edge screw. Before disassembling the CPU, first clean the surrounding glue of the CPU directly. I use Quick 861 air gun to clean the edge screw. 270 degrees, wind speed 40. The previous technician used a lot of flux. Flux spilled over the entire board during the blow. Pay attention to the edge glue. Try to cut along the chip, because the back glue is likely to have capacitance resistance. At this time, cutting the knife from the middle of the glue is likely to adjust it to the virtual welding. So try to follow the CPU side gently. Adjust the camera lens. Continue to clean glue. Huawei glue is not as hard as the glue of the machine Oppo Vivo. Relatively speaking, there are two common types of Huawei IC sealant glue. One is yellow, the other common is this black. Relatively speaking, it is less difficult than Oppo Vivo, because they are soft. They can be shaved easily as long as temperature is right. Before disassembling the CPU, remember that one corner is facing this position. Because there is no drawing, don't make mistake when installing. At this time, we first find a heat insulating thing and cover the board. Wait a moment. Because the CPU UFS covers has been removed by technician, SDRAM is next to the CPU. Choose a coin or cover chip when disassembling the CPU. Cover the IC which is with glue. In this case, blowing the CPU will not cause the IC to cause false soldering or thin bolt come out. This is a little trick. At this time I used the quick 2008 air gun to start dismantling the CPU. Tentatively, gently stroke the gap between the CPU and the motherboard. See if it works. At this time, we can also refer to the capacitance and resistance of the variable. If it melts, there is basically no problem. The temperature is enough. Okay, it has moved. Don't worry, there must be heat absorption here, so let's slow down. Don't pry it up directly, but push it flat inside. At this time, the CPU has been removed. Obviously, you can see that these solder joints are oxidized here, indicating that this is caused by virtual welding. We change tint now. At this time, the coin can be removed. It is not used anymore. Change theme first. Adjustment the soldering iron. Wait a moment. When handling the motherboard, the soldering iron temperature should be as high as possible. As long as you drag it smoothly on it, it is okay. This time there is not much glue left on the motherboard, basically on the chip. So the motherboard is easy to handle. When we drag the motherboard with the soldering wick, if you cannot move, it must be the temperature is low or the flux is lacking. So we need to increase the temperature appropriately when we encounter that situation. There is no problem using high temperature when handling the motherboard pad. The soldering iron must be tightened when not in use or when it is just put away. This is to maintain the soldering iron tip, to form good habits. This can extend the life of the soldering iron tip. Clean up. The flux had added too much by other technicians, so the entire motherboard is flux. At this time, we will gently process the edge glue. Clean up this excess edge glue. Those that loose solder joint are its empty pins. But it feels like useful and useless. Let's scrape it lightly with a blade. Scratch it out and measure it. If it is grounded, we don't care about it. Because we don't have drawings, we cannot refer to. Looks like a power supply. There is resistance. Then we will scrape this point out. This kind of point, which is the line under the point, not from outside. We generally only need to scrape out the entire pad and then thin it. Just make it a horizontal surface with the pad on the motherboard. No need jumper wire. The quality of this green PCB is a bit bad. Like this, we just need to put some thin paste on it. The amount of thin paste is not less, because that was the glue removal temperature. Okay, so it forms a point. If you look at it from the side, and the pad is the same height, will not protrude. It is okay if it's a horizontal plane with the pad. Next, start processing the chip. Put the motherboard aside first. From here, we can also clearly see that the point just now is coming from the underside motherboard. This point must be scraped out. Normally, it should be a power supply point. Then we process the chip. The soldering iron temperature should be lowered properly. Adjust to within 260 degrees. This is a safe enough temperature, because the chip is small. No place for heat dissipation. If you treat the motherboard with a high temperature, chips are easily burned to death. We replaced the burr or slightly protoning lead-free solder joints with leaded ones. This will make it easier for us to remove the glue later, because we use a relatively low temperature when removing glue. Now we start to remove glue. Because it is soft rubber, we don't need to use too much effort. I feel that some lead-free spots on the motherboard have not been completely replaced. Let's increase the temperature a little bit, but not too high. Or if your temperature is a little bit higher, it is okay. Raise the nozzle when you see its tint melting. Point cycle blowing is also possible. Operate according to personal preferences and habits. But don't keep blowing at a high temperature. Leave the nozzle away when the tin is melted. Don't keep blowing at one point. It is easy to blow the chip bad due to incorrect operation. Once you see it melting, you must quickly raise the nozzle. Keep this habit. Even if the temperature is 500 degrees, it doesn't matter. Okay, we clean up the glue of this chip. Now pass these irregular solder joints through tin to round out. There are some oxidized spots. We can tin them as much as possible, so that waiting for rebolting will help one-time tin rebolt success. When using the soldering iron, remember not to stay at the fixed point on the chip for too long. We want to keep dragging. Okay, there are some oxidized spots here, so tin it slightly. Every soldering joint can be rounded. At this time, we have to wait for the chip to cool down a bit, then clean it with PCB water. Do not directly stimulate the chip with PCB water when it is hot. Thermal expansion and contraction may cause chip bulge. When it is very hot, it will make a zzzz sound when you pour the PCB water. There are some irregularities. Please deal with it. We also clean the front of the CPU. Prevent flux from sticking to the desktop. At this time, we started rebolting. We have to align the pin one direction. We have to carefully observe the direction of the pin 1. This tensor is slightly wrong, but we can try to plan tin to see. This is pin 1. Try again. The direction is right this time. In the process of planting tin, pay attention to my gesture of holding this steel stencil. Put 2 fingers in the middle and lift the other 2 fingers. When wiping the tin, try to draw it in one direction. After wiping the tin, wipe it slightly with a dust-free cloth. (270°), blowing from one angle. This net is a bit deformed. It is usually better to put a paper towel underneath. In this case, it will bush up. Wait a moment. That's okay. Let's reset the chip again. Next, we install the CPU. Try to clean the needle tube before applying flux. The install temperature of the CPU is at least 30 degrees lower than the removed temperature of the CPU. Now preheat the motherboard and apply flux. Apply proper amount of flux, otherwise it will be blown up. That's it. Do not need too much flux. Remember the direction of the chip just now. Put the pin one to then align it by the side. There is a silent here too. Move it a bit more. Okay. Start blowing. Because we are using lead temperature, the chip does not need to be shielded. It won't be blown because lead tin is at least 30 degrees lower than lead free tin. We install the chip. What is the standard? You can see the flux flowing from around the chip. Then whether to do a reset or not, it depends on personal habits. When the flux is flowing out, we must keep the blown gun for at least 5 to 10 seconds. At this time, you can gently push the chip to reset. Okay. We wait for the chip to cool down before installing it for testing. Don't rush to install, wait for the chips to cool down. Now check the ground resistance. Make sure our judgment just now is correct. Turn up diode gear. At this time, because the chip has temperature, its resistance is low. but it will rise soon. This pin is just over 1000 value before handling CPU. Now it's normal. 4 or 5 feet from left to right. Because the chip is still warm, so wait a moment. Okay, no problem. So its resistance will change from small to large. This is normal, because the board still has a certain temperature and it is very hot. Normally, when it's cooled down completely, the resistance should be around 600. Okay, the boot screen is displayed. Next, we connect the computer with a data cable. Already powered on. Now we pay attention to the computer device manager. See if there will be a Huawei connection port. Okay, it is out. Nova 6 SE. There was no such thing just now. Because this is the activation interface, the production port is not opening. Now it can connect to the computer normally. This course video ends here. Thank you for watching.